Good morning, guys. Got another belief hack moment for you here. Had a really beautiful morning doing some studying and reading, and now I'm sitting out in the flower gardens looking out over the alpacas and just really enjoying this beautiful day. But I wanted to share some things with you. A belief hack moment for the day is simply this: a surefire way to create enemies. If you want to create enemies, then just be contentious and get in an argument, right? The best way to win an argument is to avoid one. Have you ever met a person that has in their innate nature just to be competitive and always have to prove that they're right? That person is sadly mistaken when it comes to human relations and how to build powerful relationships with people. I wanted to share a couple things with you I took out of a reading this morning. I'm wrapping up some topics on the foundational stuff of human relations in regards to the book from Dale Carnegie that we've already discussed in a couple of other episodes. This one's really, really powerful. So I'm just going to read it to you. It simply says, you can tell people that they're wrong by simply a look or an intonation in your tonality or a gesture just as eloquently as you can by using your words. What happens though is if you do this, if you're contentious with someone, if you're in an argument and you're trying to prove that they're wrong and you're right, you strike a blow to their intelligence, to their judgment, to their pride, and to their self-respect. And all that's going to do is make somebody want to fight back. And we all know that because that's kind of how we go about it, right? In our way. It's interesting. Socrates said, one thing only that I know, and that is that I know nothing. It's very interesting. The approach is like this. If you're going to get into in an argument with somebody or you disagree and you have a disagreement, frame it in your mind that you need to, first of all, listen to their perspective with the intent of learning something. Before you start all this mental machinery going on about how they're wrong and you're right, or you're judging if what they said is even valid, or whatever the case might be in your own mind, let that go and try to literally observe and understand what they're saying, because that's an opportunity for you to learn. They may not be right. You might be right. You might be wrong. You don't know. But if you go at it with an aggressive space, you're never going to get that opportunity for learning. Here's some quotes for you that are really powerful. Men must be taught as if you taught them not, and things unknown proposed as things forgot. Be wiser than other people if you can, but just don't tell them so. I love that one. You cannot teach a man anything. You can only help him to find it within himself. Another real strong statement. There's real power in statements when you're in negotiations with someone or an argument or a disagreement even where, oh, my eye is itching me, excuse me, where you say, hey, look, I may be wrong, frequently I am, but let's review the facts. That's a real simple reply that you can utilize that totally takes them off guard, because you're admitting already that you're probably wrong, but let's just check the facts, or let's look into this a little deeper. And that's a real strong, powerful, neutral way to continue the conversation in a positive way. So even in regards to our beliefs, listen to this. This is really good. I got this out of a book, The Mind in the Making, and it's an older book. It dates back many, many years. It looks weird. The sun shining in on me. Check this out. We sometimes find ourselves changing our minds without any resistance or heavy emotion, and this is in regards to our beliefs. But if we are told we're wrong, we resent the imputation and we harden our hearts. We're incredibly heedless in the formation of our beliefs, but we find ourselves filled with an illicit passion for them when anyone proposes to rob us of them or of their companionship. It is obviously not the ideas themselves that are dear to us, but it's our self-esteem that gets threatened when someone challenges us in that way. So just like we're talking about in an argument or a disagreement. The little word my is the most important one in human affairs, and properly to reckon with it is the beginning of wisdom. It has the same force whether it is my dinner, my dog, my wife, my father, my sister, my God, my country. We not only resent the imputation that our watch is wrong or that our car is shabby, but that the conception of the canals of Mars or the pronunciation of Epictetus, of the medicinal value of salicylin, or of the date of Sargon is the subject of revision. Anything, it doesn't matter what it is. And it's really not about the issue, it's about our self-esteem. So that's what he's saying there. He says, we like to continue to believe that what we have been accustomed to accept as true is, and the resentment aroused when doubt is cast upon any of our assumptions leads us to seek every manner of excuse for clinging to it. The result is that most of our so-called reasoning consists in finding arguments for going on believing as we already do. So that's just hits it right on the head. We can't, and the reason it's important is because we have to think of this in another person's perspective. So let's say we're in the middle of a disagreement or an argument or a debate. By challenging someone in that way, they now become the person that we just read about. They're vehemently holding on to these thoughts and things that they think are real. And it isn't even for the things themselves. It's more about the self-esteem being challenged in that space. So we've got to do very well in communicating with people when we're in a space of a disagreement or an argument or what have you. So it's kind of like using that soft tonality and that soft phrase of, you know what, I may be wrong and I am many times, but let's check the facts, or let's look at some of the research, or let's do a little more digging in this subject and see what we can come up with. We'll reconvene and talk some more because I love it. We're learning a lot from each other. Something like that goes a long way in your communication skills with other people. Listen to this. Carl Rogers, the great psychologist, wrote in his book on becoming a person, he said, I have found it of enormous value when I can permit myself to understand the other person. The way in which I have worded this statement may seem strange to you. Is it necessary to permit oneself to understand another? He says, I think it is. Our first reaction to most of the statements, which we hear from other people, is an evaluation or a judgment, rather than an understanding of what they're saying. When someone expresses some feeling, attitude, or belief, our tendency is almost immediately to feel that's right or that's wrong, that's stupid, or yo, I agree with that, or that's abnormal, that's unreasonable, that's not right, whatever it might be. We're judging in that space. Very rarely do we permit ourselves to understand precisely what the meaning of the statement is, key point, to the other person. So these are some skills for you today, a couple belief hack ideas for you. Ultimately, the best way to win an argument is to avoid one. Never be in it in the first place. But if you get in a debate, and if you get in a situation where, you're having a conversation, you don't really agree, it really isn't important to tell somebody that. Like, it's okay. You don't have to disciple the whole world, right? You don't have to prove that you're right all the time, because most of the time you're not anyways. And I'll finish it with this. The great Benjamin Franklin, one of his Quaker friends, an older guy, said to him one time, and it took Ben Franklin back, took him a step back, and he had to really reevaluate himself. He said, Ben, you are impossible. Your opinions have a slap in them for everyone who differs with you. They have become so offensive that nobody cares for them. Your friends find they enjoy themselves better when they're not around you. You know so much that no man can tell you anything. Indeed, no man is going to try, for the effort would lead only to discomfort and hard work. So you are not likely to ever know any more than you do now, which is very little. And I love that admonition. So take a tip from Socrates, right? The one thing you do know is you don't know much. And you don't have to prove it if you do know a little bit. And always try to be understanding without judgment in communication with someone that you might be differing of opinion with. And you might learn a little something in the process. Belief Hack Minute for you. Thanks, guys, for all the support. Love it. Share this video, and let's continue to grow this thing. Have a great day.